What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. We're here again at WRXperts. I know you guys are probably sick of hearing that, but let's be honest, where else are you gonna take your car? Today we're gonna be installing the Cobb Flex Fuel Kit, and quick shout out to Nippon Power for providing us with the parts and the fittings since we're not on stock rails. They have some awesome prices. Check them out at nipponpower.com. Also check out WRXperts at WRXperts Autoworks on Instagram and Facebook, and let's get started.
Alright, as always, disconnect the ground. Don't need to short anything out. Just move this out of the way. We're just gonna make some room really quick. Just rotate that out of the way. Alright, right now we're just basically making some room so we can work with what we have. A little fancy tuck. Alright, like I was telling you earlier, this is going to be slightly a little different. The basics of it is pretty much the same. Everything goes in the same location. The only difference is you're running aftermarket rails with an aftermarket regulator. Ethanol content reader goes in the same location. You always mount it there like Cobb recommends. Pressure sensor, it's going to go into the regulator itself. It's a nice fail-safe to have. And then all we're basically doing is putting the ethanol content reader in between the return. So in other words, instead of going straight from the regulator all the way to the firewall, we're just going to come down here to the ethanol content reader and then come back out and then connect it to the firewall line. Easy peasy. There we go. This one's gonna route. Route it this way into the ethanol content reader, and then it'll come back out. I'll make a line and connect it back there. So let's go ahead and take this off really quick. So we're going to go ahead and set up the module. Basically, you just got to lift up the box a little bit. And just get it. Let me move this out of the way so you can see. And just basically fish it. And you get the bolt in. Just so you have an understanding, the hard lines, just like the stock rail lines, are 5/16, but the flex fuel module, the ethanol content reader, it's 3/8. So we had to get a bigger adapter. Usually you can tell the difference. 5/16 are white, blue ones are 3/8. You always want to lubricate the threads first so it slides into the holes, and then after, so you don't run the risk of stripping them. Because I've had people make that mistake and then they lock up and season them. Alright. When you're connecting to these lines, it's got a built-in O-ring in it. Just like the lines that come with the kit. It's basically the same thing. It's got an O-ring on the inside. So always lubricate it. A little bit of grease on it. It's not a big deal. It's not going to hurt anything. But you want that O-ring to slide on before it locks. Just turn this one a bit. And then, see? It locks right in place. It's locked so it won't pull anymore. Okay. So now we're just going to make the line from here to the firewall. Alright. So I'm gonna connect this one, and then this one is gonna go back into the firewall. And there you are set as far as the lines are concerned. So we're gonna go ahead and remove the gauge, mount the fuel pressure sender. Just gonna squirt a little bit. Whoa! Oh. A little bukkakis. So basically in the stock setup, it's gonna use this adapter that's gonna click in. You mount the sensor on one end and you cap it on the other. Cobb includes the cap. In this case, as we're doing aftermarket rails with aftermarket regulator, we're not gonna have to use this. We're just gonna bypass it, and you're gonna mount the fitting, the sensor right on the actual regulator. But before we do that, get yourself some yellow Teflon, which is good for gas. Just gonna wrap that twice, and then we're just gonna screw that in. Those wondering, it's a 7/8. So plumbing's done, sensors in. Now we're gonna go ahead and just start routing cabling. You get the main harness from Cobb. It's gonna mount on the intake manifold. You got 3 pigtails. You got this one that's gonna go to the rear oxygen sensor. You got this one that's gonna go to the TGVs. In this case, TGVs are deleted, so there's no need to tap into both ends. All we're gonna do is just tap into the actual plug for the harness. And then the brown one, which is the ethanol content reader. So you're gonna first set it up. We're just gonna go ahead and mount this here where it won't interfere with anything. There we go. Out of the way. I'm just gonna basically connect this to the ethanol content reader, and then we're gonna do TGV. It's gonna be hard because I'm trying to tuck everything under. I'm gonna route it. Alright, if you look right here, this is the TGV cable that you see there. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna plug in the male end into the actual sensor. So it's plugged in, and you can just leave that one down, and we'll tie wrap it now. And then last one, they make this super long. Some people like to connect it all the way in the bottom under the transmission. Already comes with an extension that'll connect from the firewall to the actual sender. So what I like to do is just connect it to the actual firewall one. It's the same connection as the real 2, except we're just connecting it before the extension, not after the extension. Route this one as well. But we're gonna route it along. It's gonna go tucked under the AC line. And then you'll notice there's 2 cables here. I don't know if you see it there.
A little bit. Are they taped up?
Yeah. You got the male end and the female end. So you're gonna connect the female, the harness, to the male end. And then the other end to the female plug. I don't know if you see it there.
A little bit. Is it unplugged? That thing that's unplugged right there? Yeah, I see it.
Yeah. Alright. So since we have an excessive amount here, basically just tucked it right under the AC line where you won't see it, and everything's plugged in. You got the rear 2, that little content reader, and the TGVs are connected. Now last thing is connect the actual fuel pressure sensor. You're gonna notice the plug itself looks the same like the TGVs. Since this was getting utilized, you're gonna connect it to the other side. So we're gonna have to do a little bit on there. Pop the snorkel out, give me a little room. Front end of the motor, if you look right here, here's the other one that's loose already. Again, male end right into it. Plug it in. Now the fun part starts. Just gotta tuck it and run it from one side of the motor to the next. You notice I'm just pushing it down along behind all these lines, because we're just gonna route it right behind the actual alternator, behind the AC compressor, and that way it'll be a nice straight shot. And plugged in. I'm just gonna go ahead and button up the car back together, put everything back, and you're pretty much set. Now, by coincidence, I also have another car that's on a flex fuel setup, but stock rails, which I could show you as well as an example of what it would look like if they would stock. Now we just gotta put the battery back on, and we are pretty much done. It's gonna be a little tight because of the module, and also because of the intercooler pipe. Let's point this for time. Alright, for those that are watching this video, just to give you a better idea, by coincidence I have a customer's car here that we did a flex fuel setup. We also did a stumble kit as well, but just to give you a general idea, since it's different, if you notice the fuel lines, obviously this is the regulator from the stumble kit, but basically the sensor, if you notice, mounts on the feed line. That's where you put the fuel pressure sender on there, and then the return, you're gonna notice it's gonna come down, and right down there is the ethanol content reader. So as far as connection to everything pretty much plugs the same way. The only thing is different is that the lines, you get the feed line where you put the adapter kit on there with the actual sensor, and then you're gonna basically run feed all the way to the firewall, and then the return, just return it through the ethanol content reader and back out. Realistically, the ethanol content reader doesn't matter if you run it through the feed or return. It's gonna read the same content. The only difference is I like it because it just looks a little cleaner if you route it through the return instead. And that's pretty much it.
So guys, as you can see, it's not that long of an install. It's pretty simple. I hope the video was helpful. Once again, guys, shout out to Nippon Power and WRXperts. Make sure to go check them out and give them a follow. If you have any questions, make sure to leave them in the comments down below. We'll do our best to get back to you. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and see you guys on the next one. Thanks.